right, as many of you know, I'm David. I'm the Director of Tech at Green Acres. A lot of these PD sessions that we set up are self-serving because they're things that we want to know about ourselves. And just in case you don't have background, many of you probably come through us through Independent Tech or Independent Tech coaches over the years, and AIMS. And we've been working very closely with AIMS, not only because we've been very attached to each other, but over the last couple of years, we've been under pressure to get insurance. And so we've set up now an LLC called Greater Conversations, which is why you're getting emails from Greater Conversations. But Independent Tech coaches, independent school business officers, they're all tied into Greater Conversations. Just wanted to explain why you're seeing this name all of a sudden. And what we've been doing over the years is we've been getting together, usually over lunches, and having great conversations, hence the name, about things that we're doing in school. And we've been very lucky because we have very supportive sponsors, right? In this case, it's Sam Poole and Planet Technologies. Thank you so much. And they come together because not only do they all have kids in our schools, but they find that they want to support us so that we can have the conversations and also build these nice relationships between them and us, and it works out as a nice ecosystem. So without Sam and Planet Technologies and companies like yours, we couldn't do it. And then Microsoft, over the last, and they're always there, but over the last couple of years, they've really been stepping up, getting in the education environment, providing this beautiful space for us to meet in. And
traffic.
And beautiful traffic for you to make this happen. But again, honestly, without you guys, we couldn't do it. And without our community members, we couldn't do it. So I'm really grateful you guys are here because I'm planning to learn a lot from you. And I'm grateful that my colleague Mary Louise allowed us to rope her into doing the research for us on this topic and doing the survey. So thank you very much as well. And with that, and I know the people who are going to watch this in the recording don't see that I don't have any hair, but I'm going to get out of your hair and get out of your way. Mary Louise, thank you, Sam. And Bob as well. I'm sorry, I got to check you out as well. Bob and Sam are together as well.
I was out in the hallway for a second.
So Planet Technology gave us breakfast and they're giving us lunch, so that is very nice too. So please feel free to go get coffee, bathrooms down the hallway, and if you need any of those. And for those that are late, there's the Wi-Fi. So I'll introduce myself and then we'll go around and introduce each other and say why you came today. I'm Mary Louise. I teach at Green Acres School and I'm also an administrator there. I'm in my last year at getting my degree in leadership at Loyola University, and I had to do a project. And so David roped me in and said, will you do, what do you think of this idea? And I love technology and I know how important it is to integrate it in school systems and into classrooms, so I said, sure. So this is the reason why I did the survey and said, yes, I would come and share the research with you. So I've been at Green Acres all my professional life. I've been there for 33 years, and I've taught everything from pre-K to 5th grade. I'm the camp director of the after-school enrichment director and sub-coordinator. You know, independent schools, they stretch you like Gumby, all different ways, and that's me. So, so we'll go this way. So, who?
Mary Louise, I want to add one more thing in.
Yes.
What you won't know from Mary Louise is watching it. Her camp program is not just amazing, but the professional development that Mary Louise does with her employees is outstanding. I mean, if we could replicate that with our teachers, I'd be in heaven. Sorry.
Thank you.
I'm Dan Berger. I work with the Jewish Primary Day School, which is now the Milton Gottesman Day School. I'm the technology administrator, and I struggle to have opportunities to present to the teachers, so I'm looking for ways to, like, I often get that the last 30 minutes of the day on the last day of the week of Teacher Professional Week, and you know, despite whatever we may have implemented that year, it doesn't seem to matter to the administrators. It always becomes like the afterthought to include me on the schedule. So I'm looking for ways to be able to do to present professional development either from me or from our administrators and colleagues to each other asynchronously in other ways that because, and we're also on 2 campuses that are split. We're trying to keep them as a unified school. The better opportunity, the more we can find ways to reach across those barriers of space and time, the better. So that's what I'm hoping to do.
So do you bring your own devices?
The
Or-
teachers?
No, the
Students?
students?
No, we don't have any bring your own device. We are at this stage, we're pre-K to 6, we're going to
Okay.
8, and all devices are issued by the school.
Okay,
We have a ratio of 1-to-1 from 2nd grade through 6th grade, with the 5th graders bringing their Chromebooks home and 6th grade bringing Windows laptops home.
okay.
So,
Kind of just tells us
Yeah.
what we're working with.
sorry.
No, that's okay.
Hi, I'm Fred Sisk. I'm the technology integration coach at Sandy Spring Friends School, so it's pre-K to 12 is my purview, as they say. Like a lot of educators are very googly, and so I'm really curious. I know that Microsoft has really been stepping up, and I do want to see what else is out there.
Uh-huh.
And like anybody that's in a, whatever, I'm the guide on the side for the most part, but I have lots of different teachers, lots of different ability levels, lots of different interest levels, and lots of real sort of niche sort of needs here and there. And I'm just curious to see how this product and how this approach would fit into our setting.
And do you get professional development opportunities in your school for tech?
Largely not. I mean, it's the occasional summertime, sort of once in the summer for, a couple of hours and sort of 10 minutes at faculty meetings and pulling teachers out. I mean, a lot of it's sort of on the fly,
Okay.
yeah, in real time. A lot of it is increasingly sort of video driven, sort of tech support video help that I push out. So,
Okay.
Hi, I'm Laura, and I'm at Georgetown Day School, and I'm the lower school technology integration person there. We have high school as well, but it's a separate campus. In the lower school, we have iPads from K to 3, and then we have Chromebooks from 4 to 8. And really, this interests us. I'm sort of representing my team, so finding ways that we can, again, I can relate to what you're saying, trying to make this professional development work within, after school we have carpool and people are busy and trying to figure it out, and it feels like you schedule something and it always sort of falls by the wayside, not intentionally and not, so it's trying to figure that out within a very busy, separate, sort of 2 schools. We have a lower school and a middle school at the campus that I'm on, and yet also sort of to differentiate, to meet people where they're at. And that's the piece that I'd love to have some discussion with, because we too have people all varying levels, right? So we don't want to have sort of a one size fits all, so the discussion of that.
Go ahead.
Good morning, my name is Douglas McQuiston. I'm the Instructional Technology Coordinator from Indian Creek School. We are a BYOD starting from 4th grade up to 12th grade. We do have this school actually starts in pre-K. We've got about 60 iPads and iPad carts that we use for supplemental education for various things, from administering the MAP standardized test to just whatever the lower school needs in terms of giving their kids access. We have one resource center, but 4th grade up, they bring their own devices, and there are Microsoft schools, so we have Office 365 and all the wonderful products that go along with it. We are still trying to get our head around all the ways that we can use those. One of the biggest discussions that we have in our office is how do we push out training, get people activated to these things. We have a lot of video help lessons where people can log on. Nobody really takes advantage of those until it is too late. One of the things I admit often is things become an emergency because nobody, you say, hey, we have this really cool stuff that we can do with Microsoft Excel, and everybody blows you off until it's time for them to go mail version. They have to put out diplomas or whatever the case may be, and so that then takes up our time, because a lot of times we'll end up doing it because you know, at the 11th hour, there's not really enough time to show the person how to do it. So exactly, and you know, and one of the things we talked about, I believe, at the last lunch was the hiring process. You know, hiring people that have some level of knowledge around these applications, because there are a lot of teachers, unfortunately, they'll say, I don't do computers. You know, they'll teach the content, but they don't necessarily want to learn, you know, the things that they're pushing out to the kids.
Okay, thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Joe Nardella. I'm from Georgetown Prep, just up in Wisconsin. It's not Rockville Pike. I am the instructional technologist, relatively new in my role. I'm a science teacher by heart. I still teach science classes. And again, being pretty new in this role, I'd like to learn more about how you engage in professional development, how you, frankly, get people to attend. I don't think I'm that boring of a presenter, but you know, just getting attendance and how do you work with your school schedule, which is already packed to the brim. How do you, I guess, frankly, leverage technology to push out some information?
Hi, I'm Erica Deason. I'm at the Murray School in DC. This year my schedule and my title shifted a little bit. I was one of the instructional technology coordinators up until this year, and now my title is Director of Academic Technology. We don't exactly know what that means, but it's some semi-administrative. We don't have a Director of Technology at the moment. So my job, and I originally was a Spanish teacher, and that's actually most of my career. Our school, BYOD, in the upper school, carts of Chromebooks and iPads and math books in the middle school. Lower school has homeroom, like class sets of iPads, like 5 or 4 of them, plus there's an iPad cart and a cart of Windows PCs. So we are completely like not wedded to any one platform, which has its own problems. Everything everyone said is exactly true at my school. I have been a classroom teacher. I understand the pressures. I also think that, like, you know, there's a need to, this is the direction that education is heading in, and so you need to have some technological proficiencies and skills and comfort to be able to do your job. And I don't know when schools are going to start actually making people more accountable for that. So that part of being able to do your job well is actually being able to at least know how to ask the right questions and know when you need to get help for things. So even as a 21-year veteran teacher, I get a little frustrated with folks who don't make time for this. That aside, I also understand all the real pressures that people face for it, and so I want to make, like, how can I get the PD to people the way that they need it? I totally understand being frustrated and scared by tech. I want everybody in my department to be as approachable as possible and to meet people where they are, which I can't remember who said it, but that was super key as well. So, and after school doesn't really work, and before school is kind of hard, and at the end of the school year doesn't really, so the kind of finding all the magic ingredients that are in there, because I want everybody to be awesome at their job, and I think this is one component of being a good teacher, not everything, that's one component.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Simon Cantor. I'm at the Sanders School of the Director of Technology, and our school is just growing to the point where me doing everything sort of one-on-one, all the professional development and training is no longer feasible. We're just cresting over that threshold there, and so I'm under some pressure to systematize things in a way and make sure that I still get everything that I need to across without taking too much of my time. We just got a whole mess of Chromebooks. That's pretty much the environment.
So I'm Ginger Thornton. I'm the Director of Instructional Technology at the Charles E. Smith Jewish Day School. We're a pre-K to 12 Jewish Day School just up the pike. 3 divisions. We're one-to-one from 1st grade through 12th grade. We have classroom sets of iPads and Chromebooks, about 5 each, in pre-K and K, and then we have Chromebooks from 1 through 8 that we provide. We also have about 50, 60 iPads in small classrooms, carts that we use in our lower school for a few things. And then our high school 9 to 12 is bring your own device. We have kind of a bifurcated structure in technology. So we have a director of information technology, and his job starts in the server room and kind of moves toward the classroom. And my job kind of starts in the classroom and moves toward the server room. So we do collaborate a lot. Our positions are basically parallel. We sort of have a team that works for us. We did a lot of the sort of try to find time in the professional development days, try to find time during the school day, professional development for a number of years with fairly mixed success. And so we've really moved almost exclusively to a model, particularly at our lower school, of we're on the cycle for grade level meetings. So someone who works for me has, as did the math coordinator, the science STEM coordinator, they have one of the grade level meetings, so about once a month. They cycle through our grade level meetings with teachers. And that's where we get a lot of bang for our buck. And then we just have an office where we do have people come. So we tend to have a lot of success with that. We just started using something called Seesaw at our lower school, and that's really pushed a lot of teachers to come for help and things like that. We really struggle, I think, particularly in our high school, which looks a lot more like a college. And so we have a lot of content experts who really just want to stand in front of the room and talk about their content. And so that's where I think we've had the hardest time making inroads. And then the other part of my job now is I oversee online learning, which has been kind of an interesting addition. But also, right now I'm overseeing STEM at the upper school. So our computer science program and things like that. And so I'm really particularly interested in larger ideas for integration, because I think that's where we're continuing to move.
Okay, thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Armin. I work with Unitors, David, I'm based as a help desk and this year I teach kind of network admin. In our school, most of our students, part of it actually use iPad, but recently we try to switch to Google. And I think we're trying to work more and more with Microsoft. Actually, we have good experience with that. And for now, for example, our management even for iPads is Microsoft Teams, or even for Windows system, everything almost Microsoft and Office 365. So it's kind of beneficial for us because it's part of the Office 365. So budget-wise, actually, it's very convenient, and also some of them still is kind of beta version, it's trial, but it's better.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm David, Tech Director for Makers, and I think a lot of times we're all in the same boats. And I think from my perspective, I worry a little bit because I don't always feel that our teachers have current skills. I didn't want to say modern skills, I mean current skills of how to teach using current technologies. And I think in the long run, our kids are going to be suffering because of that. You know, they're going to go to college, and for example, we have teachers that want to always print out the work and grade the work and hand it in. And I don't know who on earth is going to be, especially by the time our kids are done, going to be printing out documents to send it to their professors. I'm joking slightly, I'd be surprised if there's paper sold then. But I worry about that. I worry about some of the things that you guys have talked about the fact that we're finding ourselves doing people's jobs because they don't have the skills to do their own jobs. And I know I'm being very blunt, but I'm at the stage where I feel like we have to be blunt about what the problems are so that we can figure out how do we address them. And I think we're all in the same boat. We think we need to help train our staff to be able to do those skills. But I hear the same problems we're running into, but you don't have time to do that. The teachers don't feel they have time. The staff don't feel they have time. But yet they still can't do their jobs, and we have to sit at their desks and do a lot of it for them. So I'm looking for leading here, and I apologize, I should step back. We're in the process of redeveloping our professional development as well now, which is why I'm very excited we wrote Mary Louise into this. And so I'm looking for some cool tools or things that work from you so that we can steal that, reappropriate that information and integrate it into our program. Thank you for being here.
That was awesome.
It is.
So I think, So, sounds like this is what I understood, and it sounds like all of you are saying the same thing in different ways. You're being told IT is important, it's top priority, yeah. How do you get the planning, the buy-in, both from administrators and the teachers, and then where do you find the time, and then the money? But once again, you're told that technology is top priority because you have to make 21st learners. So, this is a real struggle for all of you. So I did this survey, and I got 25% response rate back, which is pretty good for a survey. They say for about 5% for a survey, so we got 25. They were all from private schools. What I found interesting, it was mostly from tech directors or IT coaches. You guys all have different names. So from the IT people that answered it was from people that support schools that have 100 or more staff members, which I thought was interesting. So that was like 53%. And then the next number was 15% for 61 to 80 staff members. So you're talking about larger schools when you're seeing the information from here. I also thought it was interesting from this 25% and from the larger schools, you had an even division. So a lot out of the people that responded, 0%. They had 0 educational coaches or IT coaches. 33% said 1, and 33% said 2. And so I thought, wow, for such big schools, I thought there would be more of these coaches, but it doesn't seem like it's there. Then funded. It's from the staff and professional budget line, 81%. But then it's IT's responsibility to organize it. So it doesn't make sense where it's supposed to be coming from staff and professional development, but it's coming from you guys that have to get it going and organize and things like that. So that's a conundrum right there. Okay. So these are things that I heard, right, what you said, criteria for hiring, 6%. Okay?
Could you explain that one a little more?
Yes, so in the interview, it's not asked in the interviews, there's no competency tests, it's not looked at as the resume, it's more looking for the teaching or your social skills or your references. So that's where it needs to start.
So only 6% are saying that is the standard or a criteria.
Mm-hmm.
That's that.
Yes. Yes.
I understand this has nothing to do with the reason. I'm just curious.
Yes.
You wouldn't happen to know that number crosses hiring just in general, like non-tech job, like an executive assistant or somebody else.
Then it was more of a sometimes, and then that was at I think 31%. I remember, yeah. So for teachers, it's not a criteria.
So that number was just for teachers.
But you have to support faculty and teachers.
Oh, no.
So even at the lower, even at the sometimes for faculty, it's still not enough. So that's something you might want to start talking to your admin staff about. Yes.
Mary Louise, I just
Yes.
would like to introduce my colleague.
Okay,
Rex
that's
Riley,
fine.
who just
I
stepped in
wanted him to
before we
get
introduced.
settled.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Rex Riley. I am the Technology Operations Manager at Sandy Spring Fed School. I'm with Frank, who is our
ET.
person extraordinaire.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Forgot my mouse. Okay, training new staff.
Oh,
So, yes, you all see 78% for your policy and procedures. Instructional technology tools using the whiteboard, projectors, those kind of things. Cloud-based technology, 85%. And then your student information system, that's probably how to use your database, how to write report cards, attendance, those kind of things.
It's interesting to me on that last slide because you're looking at a system that teachers have no choice whatsoever that they have to use, and that is where you'll get a good attendance for that training because it has to happen. It's what's
well,
visual.
This one, and this is probably because it's a paper, it's easy. I was surprised at this one. Well, at our school, we don't really say you have to have a cloud-based technology. It's up to the teachers or the team. But a lot of you have done 365 or gone to Google, so that makes sense to me. But in my school, we have beautiful smart boards, and some teachers don't use them. So it's a real
We
shame.
spent $30,000 on new projectors, new smart projectors, and had zero opportunity to train the teachers how to use them. So they use them like projectors.
Yeah. So okay. So the less popular: basic troubleshooting, digital citizenship, and basic computing skills. So if you did these, maybe then you could get to the heart of the other things.
It's a hard sell.
It's a hard sell. I was thinking about, well, I think you have to understand, I'm a camp director, as he was saying. I have 320 campers. I have 90 staff members. So yes, I'm very nice and friendly, but you got to do this, you know? So when they're first hired, sending those summer videos saying, you know, some of these before you come might be because they're ready. They want to start. That might be the way to do that.
You've been toying with the idea of having students in the classroom that have these skills. And I can tell you how many times the teacher was call the office or call the IT office, you know, the projector's not working. And you get there, a student was like, yeah, we need to plug it in. Or, yeah, it's on mute. You know, basic things that I think that an adult would pick out.
Well, so David, you tried that at Green Acres, right? Some students came in and they did it as their
Yeah, we had a
community service.
we had a
thing.
tech crew,
Yeah, a tech crew.
Yeah.
And he trained them.
and it worked pretty well. But as long as you have a staff member that can work directly with the kids to make sure that they can do that.
That's what we
Yeah.
right to figure that.
Yeah, but they're awesome. The students are awesome helpers.
Sure, they're very eager to.
Yeah.
They're very eager to listen. I mean, teaching basic troubleshooting. I only have a small percentage of my staff that would even be willing to engage in that. There's a high percentage of people who just say, I don't want to know this. And something as esoteric as basic troubleshooting is a really hard sell.
So, okay, so this isn't easy for us either, for my administration to hear this. But yesterday, I gave them data. So, because we were at an admin meeting, and I said that the tech team has to deal with 7 tickets. We call them ticket how tickets because of David's humor. How tickets every day, and they all went, holy cow. And then he was giving examples of what they were, so it's changing their mindset. So giving them the data. How many times are you being asked to, that it's not plugged in, or things like that? Maybe then it will get them to think differently.
The thing that bothers me from the perspective of the students about this slide is the middle one, because quite frankly, we at our school, we don't have anyone that goes directly to teach the kids about technology and to teach them about how to be safe and be a digital citizen. So we rely on the teachers to have these skills to model it for them when they're working with it. And if they don't have it, how are our students going to get that?
Actually, our teachers are actually worse than us.
Well, yeah, well, we have that.
Digital
But
piracy.
that was one of the, I had to take a tech class, and this was a big piece. And in the public school system, this is a must. We do it in 5, 6 minutes.
We're lucky to have someone who goes to the
Yeah.
elevator.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
Just unrelated. I just have a special plea. I am having a hard time hearing
Yeah,
people because of the
audio,
blower.
yeah,
So
yeah.
if everybody could pretend like they're talking to a room full of people, that would be awesome. Because I really want to hear what everyone's saying, but I'm doing a lot of lip reading, which I'm getting really good at. But special plea for
So,
projection.
And turn around if you're in the front. So
Thank you
then
so
we'll go in
much.
the back. No, thank you. Okay, so there's the less popular training, and then, okay, so these, the types of PD that you guys provide. So the cloud-based was 63, internet resources 47, the blended learning classrooms 47, the flipped classroom 41, online student assessments 41, and social media in the classroom is 22. So this is where we're supposed, these three. Does anybody have? We have one person who does flipped classrooms in our schools. Is there anybody else who does flipped? You have a couple. I would think it would happen more in high school, but it's a very interesting concept.
It seems like that top line, 62%, contradicts what we just saw about cloud-based technology.
No, it was on the
Oh, that was
top.
on the
It
one
was
that we
one of the
did.
more
You're right.
popular ones.
Right.
And once again, I think it's because of the Google Classrooms and now Microsoft, but I think that's a big,
Yeah.
because I heard Chromebooks, a lot of Chromebooks.
Yes.
I want to just quickly, before we go too far away, I want to pile on what was said about the training for the digital citizenship. In a lot of, in my school at least, and I suspect this is true in a lot of schools, the expectation for training on digital citizenship hasn't evolved as the technology labs have been shut down and the technology instructor, the dedicated technology instructor positions have gone away. Now we have kids with technology in their hands more than they ever have before. We have more one-on-one programs, and the need, therefore, is the temptation is even greater than it ever has been. The opportunity is there for the kids to step off the wrong direction more often than ever before, more so than ever before. And yet we've actually pulled that back, as schools have actually pulled that back because they're not training the teachers how to really know how to enforce that, how to instruct that. And really, the teachers just want to get through the lesson that they're trying to teach. And meanwhile, we removed the sort of a dedicated space where we would teach that in the past.
So
instead of having the kids go to the computer lab once or twice a week,
Mhm.
where it was 5 or 10 years ago, and have somebody who was dedicated there who could set aside a lesson to teach about digital citizenship once a month or so. Instead, you have technology in the kids' hands all the time, and nobody training them how to do this, how to navigate this. So it was a thought as I was taking notes. Sorry.
It's also, if you don't have PD, that's probably one of the first ones you need to include.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion, but I would say and there's so many resources out there, it's pretty easy to do that one. And if you just give it in the hands of a teacher, I think it won't be that hard. But that's a PD I think we forget about.
Just to kind of address his concern, because the IT department, we haven't been able to do what we should. So we kind of push that off to our librarians /
media specialists.
Yeah, they run with it. We have, the lower school, she sees everybody. from pre-K to 6th grade at least 2 or 3 times a week. So that's her responsibility now. And she's kind of like our first line of defense. And, you know, if there's an issue, she'll deal with it. If she can't, then she comes to us. But in the upper school, it's a little bit more disjointed. But we kind of push that off on the media specialists to handle the digital citizenship. You know, we kind of give them direction and they do the implementation.
So there's a branch out of the how to do online research.
Yeah, yes, they do it all, and that has the media specialists. You know, one of the big things they used to start off with, like MLA is a good example. So you know, teaching kids how to write a bibliography and all that stuff. And so that has morphed into what kind of research do you do? Do you trust the first thing that you see on the internet? How many sources do you get to make sure it's credible? Things along those lines. So they pretty much handle all that. Let's take that IT department out of it. Just helpful.
In our school, 5th grade gets their own iPad. So it is up to the 5th grade teachers to teach all that digital citizenship and how to use the resources and how to set it all up. So that's how we know it's all falling on our laps. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so this is who you say does the training, is the school IT department, teachers, those are the IT coaches, or outside professionals. And this gives you the percentage. Jeez. I thought this was interesting. You need to get this up. Microsoft Innovative. 9%. You need to get that up.
What does that stand for?
Microsoft Innovative Education. They have great website and tutorials. You can get a certification and all kinds of stuff. I've been using it.
It's actually a very quick way to start evangelizing all of this learning to faculty and staff. Microsoft.com or education.microsoft.com. My dyslexic moment. That is the website where you can learn more about the MIE program, and there are different tracks of learning and digital citizenship. There's so many different ways to grow and learn on that platform. We can even show you guys in a few minutes.
Yeah, it's a great platform. I went to a Microsoft class and they showed me everything, and I had to do some stuff beforehand, and it was great. So I would highly recommend this. And I'm going to use this with my team. But yeah, so IT. Now, out of you guys, who are teachers? Okay, so you were a teacher. Yeah, okay. So you know how to teach them, teach teachers. Okay. Then you got the coaches, outside professionals, 60%, classes off-site, online resources. I think this is where you need to use more so you can do more, because this is just tying up too much of you guys' time.
And for us, lack of attendance, even though we're hosting all of that, is lack of, because it's not mandatory, you get 1, 2 people if you're lucky.
Okay. But the online resources and online classes that you can use, they can do it on their own time. So that's where it's the plus, but it's the mandatoriness is what the issue is. Okay. All the plugs. Okay. That's why I'm saying the average one, they have the plugs in the table. That's great. Okay, so I asked everybody to somehow one skipped. Okay, I asked everybody to give advice, one piece of advice, and these are the ones that came over and over and over again. So visual hands-on training. We know our students learn best that way, so teachers should be doing that too. Make the PD available at different times and frequently, which sounds like you guys are all trying that. This is the big one. You need your administrators to support it. Okay. make PD fun and relevant. And somebody said this push and pull, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Some things should be required. Some things should be so great and cool that people want to learn them. So I thought that was a good way. And then it can't be hit or miss. It needs to be a plan. And hopefully maybe we can meet again after we implement our plan and we can tell you what we did and how it worked and hear our woes and give us input. Professional learning communities, how many have tried that for tech? You've tried that?
Years ago.
Okay. Tech goals in your professional development teachers, PD days, and this is where some of you were saying 1 hour is better than none. To me, this is sad, but yeah, okay. Teachers instructing teachers, one-on-one or small group, and you have to do follow-up. And I know you guys are so busy that follow-up might be hard because time is not your friend. That was said over and over and over again, that there's just not enough time. Okay, so there was one.
Mary Louise?
Yes.
Are you gonna get a copy of these slides?
I can make them available.
That would be nice, that way I don't have to type quite as much.
That's fine.
Yes.
Okay, so I did some research. So they say you have to integrate it. It has to become part of the culture. And that's what I think is happening. Techs over here, teachers are here, administrators over there, guys all need to come together. So how do you do that? So the administrators, how many administrators come to your PD? Okay, there's one. Okay. Your administrators need to be coming to the PD, and let's say you did something on Prezi, and then they can show the staff, hey, I used this, this is cool. So you have to get the administrators in, and you have to tell them they lead by example. It needs to be part of the faculty goals, staff goals. We get evaluations ourselves, but tech's not part of it unless you made it yourself. Which are my goals this year. So anyway, goals, so it needs to be part of that. It needs to be part of the interview process. And then the perception that technology is not separate, it's integrated within the classroom. That's the big thing. So you have to get this culture. We're trying to use 365 more, so the head of middle school is putting all our meeting notes, all the information he wants us to know on OneNote. It's forcing everybody to go on OneNote. So he's getting us saying this is what we're going to use, and we need to learn how to do it. I asked my team, we're doing the grade, we have 2 grades, 5, 6 together, and I'm taking 10 minutes of every team meeting, which is like every 6 days, and teaching them some kind of tidbit about technology. And they were all okay with that because they're supporting me, because it's that teacher with teacher colleague instead of an IT person coming in, that kind of thing.
Hang on, so you're saying we need to bribe a teacher to deliver
Yes,
PD?
and I have some ideas. It could be, maybe you have one in each team or unit, and they get a little stipend or, something, I don't know, an extra day off or something. But yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Because technology training influences teachers' attitudes, which this is another conundrum or catch-22, towards technology integration and promotes meaningful usage. So you have to give them technology training for them to change their attitudes. So until it gets integrated within the culture. So yeah, you might be hitting the wall right now, but eventually the wall will break. This was interesting to me, and I can understand it. Relevance to the classroom. So you could teach OneNote, but how's it relevant to what I'm learning in the classroom? So you have to either get the curriculum coordinator, or you talk to the heads, or you're in the classrooms, because some of you are IT coaches, and you find out what they're doing and say, oh, I know this really cool Sway. It's a really cool way of children going on the internet and making a newsletter, and then they'll show it to the parents, and they're learning how to write and read, and then and it's really easy to use, which Sway is, and then you're showing how it's relevant, instead of saying, oh, learn about this platform, or this software, or this app, or something like that. So virtual field trips, if they go and they learn about animals, then they could go maybe to the San Diego Zoo through a virtual field trip, which also Microsoft Innovative. You have something to implant technology?
Yeah, well, yeah, I do, but I also just wanted to make a comment on this concept.
Yeah.
So whether it's part of our training solution we're going to talk about later, but also just embedded in our culture for Office 365 rollout. So at Planet, we've rolled out 5 million seats of Office 365 across a number of different sectors, right? One of the first things we do is help our organizations identify the tech champions on particular topics and bring them to the table about how do we communicate these solutions. So you don't necessarily, so yeah, it'd be great if they would totally own it and say, you be the champion for OneNote and go about it. But we already know the story about teachers having more work than there are time in the day and all of those things. So at a minimum, get from them, help me tell you I always hear you, because you guys probably know, right? You know the people who love OneNote. You know the person who loves this cool little funky feature, this whatever. Help me tell your story as to why you love it, and use them as use them, even if you can't get them to do it because they're too busy. Tell me why you love it. Capture it for me so that I can say, hey, Susie over here, she's using it doing blah, 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 blah. And as soon as you hit on one of those little things that connects the teacher, then they're in, right? We do that whether it's education, whether it's commercial, whether it's government, whether it's whatever. That strategy of connecting to people is so important by dropping, name dropping the person who loves this and how they use it in a way that's relevant to them. So sorry, I didn't.
No, that's important. So, like in the Microsoft MIE, they have virtual field trips already set up in there. So just showing them where these are, or meeting with the author, you can set up a time. It's quite cool, but they don't know this. But you have to say, oh, you're studying this, it's right here. And that might give you, but it might cause you to have more, get you off of what you need to do, but then you're connecting them, and then they'll be the champions.
I was just going to say also having the administrators give the shout out. Hey, I was in a class and this person, it's like recognizing and having that be that culture that you're celebrating success and recognizing what people are doing. And if administrators are walking around knowing what's happening, bingo, here, I just saw this great lesson they used.
So, because, see, it's that, once again, teachers really value getting it from their colleague. It's nothing about you guys, it's just that colleague type thing. When I went to school, that's how I learned OneNote. I wish I had it when I was younger. And so we weren't, 5-6 wasn't going to do OneNote, but then I showed them all the ways that it worked, and we all sat down and took an hour, and I showed them the basics, and now we're all using it. And I don't think we've done that since 5-6 years. So it's just hearing it from a colleague. So that's where you're going to have to get these people. But I'd be careful, too, that you're not getting the same people over and over, because then you burn the bridges.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, too. We, a few years ago, like 4 years ago, we started a peer mentorship program at my school. I worked with the director of libraries, and we
match up teachers in our community with other teachers who want to learn things. We call it our Tech Beacons program, and they have to meet once a month in their fairs, and they set goals, and it's only a 1-year partnership, but it is that whole idea of multiplying the abilities of people in the tech department, because we're a small department, but we have lots of people that we need to serve. But there are these champions in our community, and people that have skills that other people are interested in learning how to do, so they can support each other. It's more just like an accountability nag almost, like someone that can just help you keep making progress towards your goals. But having been someone that, like, for most of my career, like I said, I was a classroom teacher, and in my brain I'm still a teacher first. I feel like I don't have kids, and I've noticed that people that do have kids take the word of someone else who has kids more strongly than someone who doesn't, right? Because that person understands what it's like to have children, and somebody like myself might be like kind of speaking theoretically. And I feel like teachers, we have the same experiences. Like, if you haven't managed a classroom full of kids on a regular basis and had a room full of 7th grade boys about to lose their minds because something's not working, I'm not sure if your attitude about this is going to be a great solution for you is really worth it. But if someone else is saying that, that's had that experience, and they can give it a little bit more credence. So we're trying to help build that community in our school, knowing that sometimes that's the word that is going to carry more weight than someone who hasn't. We've also had a summer, like, 1-week workshop where teachers have come and just done like a boot camp kind of thing. And my experience has also been that teachers really do want to learn these things, they just don't have the time. And so when they have in the summer a full day that they can just devote to playing around with tech and learning different things, they got so excited. It was only like a group of 6 teachers this summer, but they had so much fun doing it. And you're just like, everybody needs to do this for the summer. Like, that would be great. The school pays you to do this, and they can't afford to pay everybody.
I was going to ask you if they pay. Yeah, that's why I was going to ask if they pay. So this kind of goes off. So 31% offer PD 2 times a year, and 28% is 5 or more. So that was like different, really different. So is it mandatory? That's where it needs to change. And competency tests, no one does that. So your guys are kind of guessing or kind of get to know people, but if you're new, that's troublesome. You don't know where anybody is. Some people don't want to tell you, those kind of things. So that's also.
We did a self-evaluation competency test this year. It was this year. And it was interesting to see the results, but they were certainly well inflated from what we would peg them at. But it was still good. The real purpose of it was to get them to think about where their deficiencies are, not for us to put it them. And it was really for us to help identify which courses to offer.
Yeah, I think it's important. In that tech class, educational tech, my professor, it was blended learning. So half of it was online and half of it was in class. And the first thing you did was that, and I thought I knew a lot about tech. I was like, what? You're going to have to, so he started giving me resources, and I started learning because I wanted to learn it. But yeah, there's a lot out there that a lot of us don't know, but we would like RSS feeds. RSS feeds would help so many teachers if they only knew what they were and things like that. So they're all into Pinterest and Twitter and things like that, which, so anyway, okay, but this is the main thing. Teachers became teachers just like you are working in schools because of students, right? So we have to get across that technology research, as you guys have know, this is the reason. So we need to say, you want to do the best by your students, you need to learn technology. And that this is, so you need to go to some of these classes or do your online. Now, research also shows that it should be professional learning communities. So, because then it's teachers teaching teachers, and you're teaching each other. It's not one-on-one, so people aren't feeling scared. Why don't I know this? It gives you opportunities to learn something try it out, go try it in the classroom, and then come back and say how you incorporate it in the classroom, or how it didn't work, or if it's not working, who to go to. So they say professional learning communities, but I would make those professional learning communities so it's relevant to what's going on in the classroom. So the last time we did it, I did it on Twitter, and I never used Twitter in the classroom, but so it should be what's relevant in the classroom. So then once again, you need to know what would be relevant and what would interest and spark their interest and say, yes, I should learn this. But I would also have the videos. Videos are great learning tools because I could just keep looking at them, try them out, re-look at it if it didn't work. For those that, so I would also have those two as a library, or maybe a starting off point of introduction or things like that. So personally, I thought the videos are very helpful and very useful too. So somehow, and I don't have the answers, I just have my own experience and what research says, you have to meet in the middle. Okay? And that's probably what you feel like. Administrators are on one side, and the teachers are over there, and you're at the other saying, how are we going to connect this? I don't have all of the definitive answers for you, but hopefully today we'll have some good discussions and we can figure out how to move forward. Anybody have any questions or comments or something else that I might not have answered that was in the survey you need to know?
Mary Louise, thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for taking the time to do the survey and come and be with us all day.
Okay, so I'm here too because I want to learn, and David and I are going to implement a plan. Like I said, I put all the information down for the head, and the head is now changing his tune, I think, a little bit because he knows this is something we need to do, and I gave him data and research, and so, and then somebody else is doing it too, because that's the problem. We need somebody to kind of be the person who spearheads it. So it's part of what I have to do. You're not paying somebody to do it, so that's probably a different reason too. So part of my project is to get new training staff, something for this summer, and then a PD program for the school year, and then he's already said he's changing hiring practices, and he's going to have IT information on it. And what was the other? Oh, and some kind of survey or a questionnaire about competency.
So when they make it as part of the hiring process, where do those standards come from? And would we want them to come to us and ask, or should they be going to the technology, to the classroom people and saying what skills do you need to have in order to be a successful teacher in the classroom? Or is it a blend of those? I mean, I don't trust that my administrators know the answers to that question.
It's a blend. So I don't know if you guys remember, we sent out, I want to say last week,
David.
But it was probably like a few months ago. We sent out some documents laying out what we think are basic skills and slightly more advanced skills. So we're going to use that document to stem and start creating an assessment from it. It may wind up being that document for all we know. And some of it might look, again, we're not there yet, but some of it might look in the form of before you are hired, you do a self-assessment. Where are you on this sheet? So that when they come in and they can't do it, we can say, hey, you wrote this down. Maybe there's a little self-pressure now. You need to actually come and work with us and get these skills to where they need to be. Part of it might also be that we're there during the interview process, so we can ask some questions. Or we're in with them while they're assessing the teaching component of it, and we're watching them teach, I know that these are not new stories to you, but this year shocked me because we had a new teacher who couldn't turn a computer on. That, I think, is the all-time low. I thought previously was when I was being yelled at because the power was off in the building and they wanted me to get the computers on. And I was stuck. I wasn't sure if they were teasing me or not. But I think this year, so I think the importance of being there up front and being able to say, look, let's work out with these skills. And it doesn't mean that every teacher has to have all the skills, and I don't mean to be picking on our teachers, but I don't expect an art teacher to know how to use databases, but I do expect an administrative person to be able to do that. And so I'm sure that we can, differentiate based on the type of job when we're looking at those skills. And that might be best not just on a sheet, but one-on-one, being able to meet and then have those discussions with whichever department is doing the hiring. I can dream.
So I think this is a fascinating topic for me because when I talk about going to college for computer science, and I talk about specifically I graduated with the ability to do nothing that I do currently today, right? Education around technology or aptitude around technology is fascinating, right? Because to test somebody in specific, but really that's not that relevant to you. Yeah, it's relevant for this year in the classroom. So somebody, example, we were, in a bunch of schools that said they were mainly Google schools. But let's just say that's changing 2 years from now to Microsoft or somebody we've never even heard of that swoops in from the sky because that's how the world works today, right? So if they're specifically awesome at Google Docs, what does that tell you? That's fascinating. It's almost like, can I teach them a skill through instructions and have them implement it is more useful than actually saying, do you know how to do it? Now, there are some basics, I think there's some things that if you live in a world that you've used a computer on, you should know how to do, right? And I think those you can measure, right? But oh, by the way, because you knew how to do it in Windows 7, it looks a lot different in Windows 10, right? Or on a Chromebook, so even those, it's a struggle, right? To say, here is my test of things, but more like, hey, here's something you've never seen before. Here are the instructions. Can you do it? Can you take the instructions and do it? And I'm just postulating. I don't know, but this topic has always fascinated me because there's no such thing as relevant tech education or tech measurement outside of the moment, right? Right? Because it's 2 years from now, it's totally different.
So Bob, let me ask you guys a question, and don't feel on the spot, but with your system, could you develop a small test, not a long test, like a 15-minute test, that would give you an aptitude of a person of how quickly they were able to learn a set skill? And let's say that you have different methods for their learning styles. Let's say you have a video, you have written instruction, and as part of your system, let's say we subscribe to it, part of your system is we can send a teacher or a potential teacher to your site, takes them 15 minutes, and it can assess how quickly can they learn a set of skills.
So yes, theoretically. Now, the evaluation of how effective that is of a measurement of aptitude, that's a debate, right? That's exactly, and by the way, I wasn't trying to speak unequivocally here. I wanted to stir the pot because this is something that comes up all the time with young kids that want me to mentor them in, IT-ness, right? The idea is, okay, you were awesome. Focus on things that teach you how to think in technology versus focus on things that are super specific. Because guess what? All those weird languages you learned in computer science class, not a single company's ever developed anything in, right? But you did sort of learn how to think and think about it that way, right? I know you had a comment or a question.
Yeah, my interest is, I see what you're saying about aptitude, but I think a better measure for someone coming into your organization is what have they been doing? Are they tech users?
Yeah, right.
Are they, not looking at where they are just right now, but what are some of the things they've done in the past is probably a better indicator of their willingness to continue that learning curve even when they're stocked out of time. Might be a better approach than just aptitude.
If it was in reference checks, how did they teach? What was their methods of teaching? And it was also, can you show us one of your lesson plans that does include tech pieces? Does I don't know at your school, but at our school, they have to come in and teach. Does it include technology in it? So that tells you a lot because you can adapt. It's adapting, but if they don't know how to turn on a machine, you know that person has a big curve.
Huge curve,
Yeah,
right,
right, or a steep hill. You wanted to say something, I saw a hand.
Yeah, well,
Yes,
I was actually going to say something very similar. We actually asked, I mean, it's not a big criteria, I would have to say, because we managed to hire a couple of people in recent years who didn't know much about technology, but we do often ask teachers we always ask them to do a model lesson, and we typically indicate some way that we would like, we think technology is an important part of teaching, and we'd like to see there be some element of technology in the lesson that they present. And so we get a sense of that. Because I have to say, if a teacher spent their entire career using a Promethean board, they're pretty much starting almost from scratch at our school because we don't use smart boards. So that, I mean, in terms of just their skill with a particular technology, I actually think I was just thinking about this as you guys were talking. I actually think we care more about whether a teacher causes and wants the kids to use technology than whether they're an Excel expert or not. I don't really care that much if the teacher is an expert in using a particular technology or any technology. I care whether they value and create opportunities for the kids to use technology. And that's the goal.
So
we have some older teachers who, I have to say, just struggle with the
I find
technology.
that my teachers that don't use technology themselves are not ones that are going to teach.
Right. There's a
We have
moderate
several
amount
who
of
do.
capability
We have
required.
several who do.
That's an anomaly.
They feel like there's so many other departments, so even if they don't feel comfortable with it, but because I've had the same experience, a lot of my veteran teachers are, it's like my younger teachers are sometimes more tech phobic, and my more experienced teachers might also be tech phobic, but some might be like, no, you guys have to do this. I don't know how to do it. We're going to figure it out together. Or if they try and get someone in our department to kind of come help, like when they feel like they're supported by something, then they might be more likely to try it. All of these conversations also remind me of, I think it was a speech that Neil deGrasse Tyson was giving at a commencement or something, and he was giving this example about who do you hire. Like, if part of the interview was asking someone how tall this building is, and there was a person who knew the answer versus a person who went outside, measured the shadows, did the ratio, and did whatever. And he's like, who are you going to hire, the one who knew it or the one who figured out the answer? And the idea that in our schools, because I'm also thinking about this conversation is mirroring some of the work we're doing in our department, thinking about, it sounds like Foray is weird that we actually still do have separate tech classes. I know that that's not the way that every school does it, but we're looking at our curriculum and trying to say, like, we're not trying to be so, like, specific tool focused, but what do we want a kid at the end of our program to look like, and what skills do we want them to be, and how do we want them to be able to think, and then be able to sort of work that back. And those same skills and capacities are what we want our teachers to have as well. So it's like, if you're not really super comfortable with tech, then sometimes, you don't inspire your kids to do the same thing. So it's like, how do we get that piece to be able to, I don't know the teachers, I agree with you in a way, I don't know if they have to use it themselves, but they need to be able to, like, get the kids to be able to use it, be open to it, as a way to start. Like, eventually, hopefully they'll get there, but I wouldn't want a teacher to feel like they have to be completely in control of the knowledge of tech before they would even think about using it with the kids, because then that just kind of pulls everybody back.
I'd actually argue that they have to be comfortable with not having to be comfortable.
Yeah.
That's really the key skill for a teacher, is that if you're not comfortable not knowing things, you're going to suck as a teacher. Because things change, knowledge changes, technology. I mean, we're doing things now that 10 years ago we didn't even think about doing. And so it just feels like to me, if we get too focused on what they already know, then, or what they're already comfortable using, then we miss the point. Okay.
You keep raising your hand back there.
Yeah, no,
The lady behind you, Bob, I'm sorry.
Oh,
No, I was just gonna mention something, and so my school does have a pretty like interesting setup with the way that we like offer PD. So there's a PD that's mandatory weekly for all teachers, which is very nice. So like I don't know if this would be like feasible for like other schools or anything, but a lot of times what we'll have during that is just give like a video that's easy for kids to understand and how to use the technology. And so when you're offering like some kind of like project that they're doing, you have like the instructions for the project already like set up for the teacher, and then say like, here's 3 kinds of tools that you can use. Here's 3 videos you can watch during the class that the kids can learn. And then you pick after watching that, you pick the kids that become like really professionals at the technology tool, and then they become the coach of the other students. So you as the teacher don't need to know anything, and I see that for like any of my teachers that maybe aren't as like apt within technology, and say like, here, just play this video, make it class, have your kids play around with it, see who's the best one, and then be like, oh, Josh, you're gonna help out for like other people. And so then they have like other kids who's in classes being coaches, and then that's like what you were saying before too about teachers don't have to be, these like tutors or anything like that.
But so when do those, so somebody has told you which videos to watch, right? Somebody has set that up, of course, so then it's that relevance. You have to find that relevance. And then, what grade is that?
Just third through 12th.
Third through 12th.
Bob, you what was that?
Yeah, no, we actually moved on now.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's good. I think we sort of
So right now, it is time for you to kind of get some more coffee, you can go get water, go to the bathroom, and then we're going to come back and we're going to continue the discussion with Microsoft and Planet Technology to help us move forward and try to